Welcome, friend, to Life and Liberty Radio. I'm David Householder, here to encourage your pursuit of happiness. You and I are partners, exploring our shared spiritual journeys. Together, we're dreaming and working for a free society. Tell others today about our adventure in faith and freedom. So breathe in, open your mind, lift up your spirit. Let's get started. Chances are you, the listener, are someone who is dissatisfied with your prayer life. This is so common. Most people I know, and I've been a pastor for quite some time in a Christian church, most people are quite dissatisfied with their prayer life. Most people have what they call the halo effect when they're asked questions, however. When most people are asked whether or not they vote, whether or not they go to church, whether or not they floss their teeth, or whether or not they pray, they tend to answer yes, kind of like, do you eat healthy? Do you try to eat healthy? Yes. Well, of course, that's not true. Most Americans eat way too much and prefer the drive-through to anything healthy. So what's with that? Well, I don't think people are lying. I think that they really want to be people who vote, who pray, who are part of a faith community, and who floss their teeth. I think we want to be that. So it's not like we're trying to avoid that. We just don't get it rolling. And we sort of freeze up when people ask, so do you pray, and how does your prayer life go? Well, I was at my accountant's office, and my accountant is a Muslim from Egypt, and he had his computer there, and a little alarm went off while I was with him. He said, oh, excuse me. And I asked him, well, what was that? He says, well, that's my call to prayer. I said, oh, you've got that on your computer? He said, yeah. It goes off 5 times a day, and then I can remember to pray. And I thought to myself, whoa, that's kind of organized. How cool is that? I wonder if there's something in my own faith tradition that would work for that. And I went and checked on my iPhone and looked for apps. Now, we didn't even have the word app a few years ago. Now everybody's talking about the new cool apps they have. So I looked up apps for prayer, and I found some fascinating things that might surprise you. First of all, I found among the dozens and dozens of apps on prayer and meditation, almost nothing that I could use, and I'm not that picky. Well, there were a lot of Muslim apps, much like the one my accountant has, and they're more or less alarm clocks that go off certain times of the day, and many of them are in Arabic, and they point you in the right direction, and some of them even sing in Arabic to you from the Quran or something. And so you're supposed to face Mecca 5 times a day and do that. Well, I didn't find that to be very helpful, not being a Muslim. And so I thought, well, hey, here's some other ones. There were a lot of Roman Catholic ones. And a lot of them had different monastic hours, like matins and vespers and all that. And I'm just not a monastic person. So I'd last about a day and a half in a monastery on a good day, even if I was raised Catholic. It just isn't my deal. And so the whole idea of praying sort of in a monastic way just doesn't really draw me in, because I'm one of those busy guys who gets involved in the world, and this whole monastic thing just, it doesn't do much for me. There's also a lot of rosaries and things, and I just wasn't raised in a tradition that values that, and I certainly value that for other people. It really doesn't work for me. And so I checked some other apps, and there was sort of a, how do I want to call them? Sort of Hindu / yoga-ish / New Age type meditation things. And there's usually like a gong, and it goes for a few minutes, and then it gongs again, and there's like nature sounds in the background. And I suppose that's all right. And ironically, it's almost closer to what I was looking for, because I think of prayer as a time to quiet myself down and be open to God and to listen to God's voice. So at least we're getting a little bit warmer here. And then I thought, oh, here's some Christian ones that aren't Roman Catholic, and I wasn't raised Roman Catholic, so I thought, maybe I'll get these. And so there's a whole bunch of prayer apps for more Protestant-oriented people, and I looked at those. I was raised Protestant, so I thought, hey, look at that. And they were all about lists. Basically, to-do lists for God is what they were. What I want for my family. You got little things to put in there, and my job, and all these different, it's sort of a wish list. Now, I understand we want to ask God for things. The Bible talks about that, and that makes perfect sense that we would certainly connect with the creator of the universe for those needs that we have, but there was virtually nothing spiritual about them. It was just kind of coming up with lists for God, and a lot of them had study stuff to go with it. You study, and then you come up with a list for God. And I'm not knocking prayer lists, I'm not, but I don't see any in the Bible, but still. Anyways, so I had a choice between Muslim alarm clocks or rosaries with hours, monastic stuff, or the sort of Hindu be quiet and listen thing, or the Protestant lists. And it just made me wonder, why isn't there something a little bit more mainstream for regular people? And perhaps that's why people don't pray as much as they'd like to. So let's think about that, and let's think about developing ways of helping people to pray, especially people who aren't Islamic and people who aren't Catholic and people who just really don't resonate massively with India, and also people who just really want to just connect with God rather than just come up with a lot of lists for Him. So let's look at that, and let's examine our own prayer lives, and do take some time today to pray and think about what it is you're doing and what it is you'd like to be doing, because I really believe we can all grow in this area. Well, that's all for today on Life and Liberty Radio. Thanks so much for sharing this part of your spiritual journey with me. Now, the views on this program are not necessarily those of my advertisers, sponsors, places I work or do business with. They're purely my own, but I'm sharing them with you, so share your ideas with me. Write me on Twitter at Liberty House, LIBERTYHOUS, no E. Until next time, let's continue dreaming and working for a free and spiritually grounded society.